Hello my soccer universe. The last weekend of March could have been a rather decisive one. We almost got our first league title winner confirmed and then Monaco scored a goal. So PSG have to probably wait for just another week to get that measly point. However, it was a huge weekend in the Netherlands where Ajax made a huge statement and are now set to get an Eredivisie title that has eluded them since 22. So another swing back. Not in Ajax style though. We also had an FA Cup weekend that kind of had meager affair overall, and probably the biggest one is the title race in Spain. That's now a duel between the two biggest teams. However, one definitely looks much better than the other, and in Germany it is more exciting when we look at the European spots than a title race. I guess the title race in the Eredivisie is done. Ajax go to Eindhoven and get a huge 2-0 away win, more or less sealing the deal. They are now sitting 9 points ahead of their rivals with 7 games to go. So that looks very comfy. But this was not your typical Ajax win. This was an Italian win because Ajax kept it tight at the back and held PSV at bay. And PSV really tried to create chances. Had the better start, of course. However, the Ajax defense held tight, and as soon as Ajax got a little bit better into play, there was a free kick where the ball ends up at Klaassen, and there is nobody in offside position, although PSV players were claiming that. But if you look at the replay, absolutely no offside. Klaassen makes it 1-0 in the 35th minute. Arguably against the run of play, however, also not undeserved because there were not too many shots by PSV. In fact, PSV barely had any shots on goal. Also tells a story. There was even more pressure coming from PSV at the beginning of the second half, where it seemed like Ajax cannot really get out of their own half. However, all they needed to do is to keep it tight and avoid PSV taking dangerous shots. All the shots that PSV took were more or less off target. And then there was a long goalkeeper, Mateusz, and it goes to Traoré, who has the ball on the edge, cuts into the middle. The PSV players are not getting onto him. He takes a shot and it goes into the corner. 2-0 in the 67th minute. That's the game. Ajax actually had the more chances to even win it a little bit higher. And so, huge points for Ajax. PSV will not defend the title that they looked so certain of defending just 2 months ago. Meanwhile, in the race for the Champions League qualification spot, Utrecht got the necessary 2-0 home win against Heerenveen, and they kept Feyenoord a little bit at bay. However, Feyenoord get a hard-fought 3-2 home win over the go-ahead Eagles. The go-ahead Eagles equalizing twice, but with that win and a win in midweek, Feyenoord will go back into the third position, and in their current form, they really look like they might hold on to that spot. Meanwhile, there are two teams that were in Europe that are not sitting as high in the table as we're used to. AZ, who only managed a 3-3 draw away to Nijmegen despite having a 1-0 and 3-1 lead just at the beginning of the second half. However, Van Crooij in the 71st gets an equalizer for Nijmegen. For AZ, it's all about the cup final. Whereas Twente also cannot back up their great last season. They lose 2-1 at Heracles with Horenkamp scoring the 2 goals for the home side. In Germany, Leverkusen keep Bayern honest by getting an unspectacular 3-1 home win on Friday evening against Bochum, thanks to a much improved second half performance with Boniface and Adli getting the win home. Bayern themselves then follow it up with a win over St. Pauli at home. The expected one was, however, Leroy Sané then scores a brace in the second half to put the Bavarians 3-1 ahead. Very late on, St. Pauli actually pulled one back. The top game of the round ended with a 1-0 home win for Eintracht Frankfurt over a 10-man Stuttgart. El Dakhli had been sent off in the 57th minute, and then 30 minutes later, Mario Götze, he has a third spring, if you would like, in his career in Frankfurt, gets the winning goal, moving Frankfurt up into third place. Also, thanks to Götze's former team Dortmund getting a 3-1 home win over high-flying Mainz. That one came a little bit out of nowhere, and you know, Dortmund Mainz, there was something, huh? There was something. It is a brace of assists for Nico Schlotterbeck and also a brace of goals for Maxi Bayer, who gets the first and the third goal. Alisson player gave Borussia Mönchengladbach the 1-0 win over Leipzig. That was a duel filled with hatred towards Leipzig coach Rose. Whenever Leipzig player had the ball, there were whistles from actual whistles that really made for an eerie atmosphere. With that loss, Leipzig actually fired Coach Rose. He has been under pressure. I don't find the timing of that one a little bit odd. Leipzig currently only sitting in 6th spot, and it is a steep hill to get into the Champions League. And then we also had some interesting results on the bottom of the table. Heidenheim get a huge 1-0 away win at Wolfsburg, who are now plateauing or even going down again after you really thought they might be threatening for Europe, and thus leapfrog Bochum, who actually had lost at Leverkusen. Kiel lose 3-0 at home to Werder Bremen. There were two really pretty goals in there as well. And Union Berlin get an unexpected 2-1 away win at Freiburg. While Augsburg's potential surge towards a European spot is stopped with a 1-1 at Hoffenheim, who also seem safe at this moment. In England, it was all about the FA Cup quarterfinals this weekend, and it started off with a big exclamation point by Crystal Palace, who went to Fulham and beat them 3-0 after weathering the early storm. They then put the game quickly out of reach through two goals by Eze and Sarr just before the halftime break. Then Nketiah seals the deal for Oliver Glasner's men. The late game on Saturday was a dreary 0-0 draw between Brighton and Forest. I guess Brighton came out and wanted to avoid being caught on the counterattack, as they did a few weeks ago when they lost 7-0 at Forest. So all the way to penalties is goals. There was a sequence where 3 penalties were missed in succession, 2 of them were Brighton. So Forest again move on thanks to a penalty shootout. On Sunday, the big story was that the big boys turned it up in the second half. Villa had only a 0-0 at the half at Preston North End. However, in the second half, it was all about Marcus Rashford scoring his first 2 goals for Villa, and then also Ramsey sealing the deal in the 71st minute. In a similar fashion, City were second best in the first half, and they missed even a penalty through Holland that could have given the lead. And when Evan Nielsen then converts just 7 minutes later for the Cherries, you really thought that Bournemouth might pull another upset. However, in the second half, and it seems so weird. O'Reilly comes on and suddenly everything changes. I don't think it's only down to O'Reilly, but Haaland gets his goal, assisted by O'Reilly, and O'Reilly also assists the winning goal through Omar Mamouche. And so while the quarterfinals may not have given us the best action, maybe the last one was the best one of those, I think these are 2 enticing semi-final ties. Palace taking on Villa and Forest against City, both games played at Wembley, of course. When Reims got their first win since November, a 3-1 over a hapless OM side. Keito Nakamura on the score sheet, former last player, makes me happy as well. It seemed very much set up for PSG to clinch the title, and they duly got a huge 6-1 away win at Saint-Etienne. Despite trailing for a long time in the first half, our Gonzalo Ramos penalties sets the scores level at halftime, and then Kvaratskhelia right after the half gives the Parisians the lead, and then they run a riot with Doué scoring a brace in the process. And so it all needed for Monaco to drop points at home against Nice. However, that did not materialize. Nice actually took a lead in Monaco through Boga after Birith already had missed a penalty early on. However, Birith then gets the equalizer in the 55th minute, and in the 73rd minute, Brel Embolo scores the winning goal, meaning that PSG now need only a solitary point from the remaining 7 games to clinch the title. The title is already in Paris. However, celebrations will probably be at home at the Parc des Princes. Already on Friday evening, we had a remarkable 4-2 home win of Strasbourg over Olympique Lyonnais, meaning that Strasbourg actually leapfrogged their opponent, who now look very much on the outside in. Maybe they can do something in the Europa League. In the big game on Sunday evening, the Derby du Nord, Lille get the 1-0 home win over Lens in a so-and-so game, to be honest. The winning goal came already in the 19th minute through Fernandes Pardo. And then I want to point out 2 other remarkable results for 2 Breton teams. Brest get a 4-2 away win at Toulouse. They had a 3-0 lead. It got tight. It was 3-2 only in the 90th minute. Camara puts it then out of sight. Stade Rennais also get a 3-0 away win at Angers, meaning they move out of relegation trouble. Calimuendo scoring a brace. Liga Portugal came back with a weird scheduling after the international break. First, with a makeup game from round 24, that was from early March, where Benfica got a 3-0 away win at Gil Vicente, thus temporarily drawing level with Sporting on top of the table. However, in round 27 then, played on Saturday, Sporting also get a 3-0 away win at Estrela de Amadora, Lisbon derby. And so the 3-point cushion is re-established, and also goal difference very much stays the same. On the same day, Braga get a 2-1 home win over Arouca. And then on Sunday, Porto get a 2-1 away win at Estoril, whereas Santa Clara, the surprise team of the season, get a 1-0 home win over Nacional in an island duel, which was a big win for Santa Clara as Guimarães only managed a 2-2 draw at Moreirense, and so their advantage over Vitória de Guimarães is already 4 points. At this point in time, I think it's safe to say that Barcelona are the best team in La Liga, which doesn't necessarily mean that they will win La Liga, as Real Madrid are stumbling over themselves to wins, but they look the most impressive. They're the highest scoring team in Spanish footballing history, and that without any Ronaldos, Messis and whatsoever. I think in all competitions they've scored almost 130 goals already. Tells you how great they actually are, and they look irresistible at times. They had to play an early game on Thursday evening, still in the international break technically, and all the South American players, of course, were not in the squad that had to travel, but they got an easy 3-0 home win over Osasuna, an Osasuna team that is a teeny bit looking already over their shoulders. Maybe they could get dragged into a relegation battle. Ferran Torres opened the score in the 11th minute, and then Dani Olmo in the 21st doubles it up with a penalty. He had to come off with an injury, which is the problem with Dani Olmo. And then Lewandowski, who else, seals the deal in the second half. Atletico Madrid, though, maneuvered themselves out of the title race with a 1-1 draw at Espanyol. A bit of an expected 1-1 draw, because their focus, of course, will be on the Copa del Rey return leg against Barcelona. However, they took the lead through a brilliant Azpilicueta goal in the 38th minute and looked fully in control until Langley pulls the shirt of an Espanyol player in the box. It's a penalty, and Puado gets the equalizer. And now, even after the second Barcelona game this weekend, it is already a 9-point deficit to the top, so I think Atleti are out of the title race. If anything, Real Madrid kept Barcelona honest with a 3-2 home win over Leganés. A perfect 3-2 home win, but only in terms of how the scores went, because Real Madrid twice took the lead, but Leganés also had the lead. The refereeing, not so perfect. I mean, the penalty that allowed Real Madrid to take the lead was an absolute joke of a call, as was then the free kick that was given to allow Mbappé to go through a non-existent wall into the net. Huge credit for Leganés, though, who actually turned the game around in the first half and were for a while hoping that they could get a point at least out of the Bernabeu after having already beaten Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. However, Madrid get the 3 points and, at least for a night, drew level with Barcelona. But then on Sunday, Barcelona an easy 4-1 win over Girona. Yes, that's the Girona team that gave them so much trouble last season, beating them twice, even though Barcelona finished then ahead of Girona. First half should have been already 2 or 3-0. It was only a Krejci own goal. Really weird. It was Lamine free kick in, and Krejci then deflected into his own net. Actually, Girona getting equals through Danjuma, but then Lewandowski with I call it gymnastics, or the way he twists himself to get the ball through the legs of the goal into net. It was a really outstanding goal. He adds another one in the 77, and Ferran Torres also gets in on the action. Barca still 3 points on top in La Liga, and they have the Clásico at home. And so Real Madrid not only have to win the Clásico, either by a huge score and to get the head-to-head, which is unlikely, but at least to draw level, but then they also need to hope that Barcelona will drop points in La Liga. It looks like a steep hill to climb. The big match in Spain was, of course, a Seville derby, and Betis get a win in, for once, a really good Seville derby. Vargas gave Sevilla actually a lead in 70th minute, but Betis turned around in the first half with Johnny Cardoso and Cucho Hernandez, Isco assisting that one, Isco being the outstanding player on the entire squad, and for this was a real great atmosphere, as you would expect, but for once the game actually lived up as well and was not as cagey as usual. I also want to mention Valencia, who get another win, 1-0 at home against Mallorca. The Mestalla really boosting Valencia to survival, and with this win it really looks likely that Valencia will stay in La Liga. Was much darker at the beginning of the year. And then let's quickly run through the other results. Real Sociedad beat Real Valladolid 2-1. An early Cisco set Rayo up for a win at Alaves, although Alaves had probably more of the game after that one. Rayo potentially going into Europe next year, because the cup winner is probably finishing in the Champions League spots. So Rayo to Europe? Question mark. Villarreal also put themselves in good position to get potentially a 5th spot, which is a Champions League spot, with a 2-1 away win at Getafe. It is a tussle with Betis, but Villarreal at least stay in that fight. Whereas Athletic Club only managed a dreary 0-0 draw against Osasuna. I mean, top 4 seems relatively safe, and the Europa League is the one thing that they're focusing on. And Monday evening saw a 1-1 draw between Celta and Las Palmas. Las Palmas almost got the turnaround as they were 1-0 down at the halftime break, and those 3 points probably could have meant a whole lot in their quest for survival. However, it's only a 1-1 draw and they're still remaining in the relegation zone. Well, that ends our little journey through Europe. It looks like we only have title races left on the Iberian Peninsula, but both of those are really exciting and might come down to the head-to-head, which in both cases are some of the biggest games that these respective leagues do have. Please let me know your thoughts on what's happening this weekend in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I'll talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye! Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!